Welcome back to Split the Party. As always, I am your host, Steve Osmond, and today we are talking about Run, Fight, or Die. This is a zombie game. It's a little bit different than some other zombie games. You don't have one big board that everybody is playing on. Each of you is going to have an individual character board like this one. And you have zombies that are coming after you. So your choices are to run from them, to fight them, or to die. I'm going to advise that you probably go with one of the first two. So here's how that works. You roll all the dice together. There are 5 action dice and 1 event die. You roll the dice. The very first thing that you do is you resolve your event die. In this case, I would have the all quiet, which means that at the end of my turn, when I start getting more zombies, I actually don't get more zombies this time. Everything's quiet, so I get to not have to deal with extra zombies this turn. Then, I have the opportunity to take my actions with using the action dice. Now it's kind of like Yahtzee. You get 3 rolls and you can re-roll any combination of those dice however you want to come up with the dice that you would like to use as your action effects. You can re-roll any dice except zombie icons. I'll get to those in a second. First, let's go through the different icons on the dice and why you might want to re-roll them, what you would be getting out of them. You'll have baseball bat. The bat will kill 2 zombies, but only in zone 1, only the zombies that are right on top of you. You have guns. Guns will kill any 1 zombie anywhere on the board. The run icon allows you to push 1 zombie back anywhere you want. He gets to go back 1 zone. And if you push back a zombie from zone 3, they actually leave the board altogether and you don't have to deal with them anymore. The search icon, this is it's how you're going to find locations. You get things that help, equipment that will help you be a little bit better, but for the most part, you get followers, which are really, really important. Followers are all have victory points on them, and your goal is to be the person with the most victory points who is still alive. Book of the Dead. Book of the Dead allows you to go through and based on how many Book of the Dead faces you're showing on the dice, you'll have a number of different options. You get to choose one of them. If you have 1, you just get to draw an event card. Event cards can be good, but they are they're most often either bad or just sort of shaking things up, kind of neutral, not really good or bad. If you've got 2, then you get to either draw a location or, you'll draw an event and then you either get to draw a location or a loot card. Loot cards are the equipment. So the more you have with the Books of the Dead, the more that you can, the better the benefits that you're going to be getting out of them. Also, you start being able to dodge getting those event cards. Now, zombies, I had said that you can't re-roll zombie dice. If these show up, you are stuck with them, unless you choose to take a fleeing card. Fleeing cards are almost always bad. There are a couple that aren't bad, but they're almost always bad. For instance, this one says, add 3 zombies to your zone 3. So you went running away because you didn't want to deal with these 2 zombies, and you attracted 3 more that you're going to have to deal with later. So once you've rolled all your dice and you've come up with the actions that you want to take, and you go through and you take your actions in whatever order you want, then before you pass your turn on to the next person, all the zombies are going to advance. So any zombies that are still alive in zone 1 are going to advance and do 1 point of damage to you. Each character, you can see the character card here, has their own hit point marker. Almost everyone has 5. This particular character has 7. Once your hit points are all gone, you're dead, you're out of the game. So every zombie in zone 1 will advance and do 1 point of damage, and they disappear from the board. Zone 2 moves up to zone 1, zone 3 moves up to zone 2. Then, if I hadn't rolled All's Quiet, I would add 3 new zombies to zone 3, plus 1 for each zombie icon I rolled, which is why you want to avoid these. If I leave those, at the end of my turn, I'm going to add 5 zombies to zone 3, which means in just a couple of turns, I'm going to have a wall of zombies coming at me that I'm going to need to deal with. Then play will pass on to the next player, and they will continue going. It's an interesting dynamic because you don't interact with the other players much. There are ways for you to take zombies off of your board and put it on other people's boards with some of the event cards, or for you to cause a generic event that happens and affects everyone. There's a full moon event card that stays in play once it comes out, and everybody during the add zombies phase adds an additional zombie. So whenever anybody is getting extra zombies at the end of their turn, they're getting 4 plus 1 for each of the zombie dice. But you don't interact a whole lot because you are literally playing people in this town who have just scattered. You are just running wherever you can go to be safe, and the zombies are chasing you individually, and you're racing, trying to be the person who gets the most victory points. So we'll go through the different cards here. You have the location cards. When you draw a location card, you'll keep it, take its effect on your next turn, and some of them will happen on the current turn, and then you'll discard it. You can never have more than one location in play, and they tend to be fairly useful. For instance, the mall here, when you draw it, you'll immediately draw an event card and resolve it. Again, events, not really awesome. But at the start of your next turn, you draw a loot card. Loot cards are all good. There are no bad loot cards. We have the mutant cards. Now, one thing that I hadn't talked about yet is the mutant zombie boss in the location deck, in the event deck, and I believe in the fleeing deck. There are cards that will call in the zombie boss. He is pretty awful. Depending on the amount of players that you've got, he'll have a certain stack of hit points on him. Each one of those hit points counts as a victory point, so every time you damage him, you do gain another victory point for the end of the game. But at the end of each player's turn, after they advance zombies, they're going to have to deal with the mutant zombie boss by drawing a mutant card. Again, always bad. Radiation attack, take 1 wound. Sometimes you'll call in extra zombies on you. Sometimes you'll call in extra zombies on everybody. Some of them cause all of your zombies to jump forward 1 space immediately, which means you're going to take damage twice in a single round. So those are the mutant cards, and they deal directly with the mutant zombie boss. At the end of every turn, if the zombie boss is still alive, at the end of your turn, you have to draw a mutant card. Then we have the event cards. I've kind of gone over those for you. Here's an example. This one, for instance, is a hold card, which means you can hold it in your hand and play it whenever you feel like. It says it's called a good rest. After drawing a location card, you may discard this event to heal 2 wounds. So again, not bad. But there are some in here that, again, will call in the zombie boss, or will advance zombies, or call zombies in on everyone at the table. Fleeing cards, you only draw when you are trying to re-roll your zombie dice. Loot cards you draw when you either find them with a Book of the Dead, or when events or locations tell you to draw a loot card. And there's a number of different equipment cards, shotguns, Lucky Charms, medical supplies, binoculars, things like that will help give you extra abilities to use in your turn. Some are for manipulating dice, some are for manipulating card draws or card usage. Skills, at the beginning of the game, everyone is going to draw a certain amount of skills, and then they will be able to keep some of those. Your skills tend to be, you get to use 1, and they all look like this, having a +3 on the one side, and then text on the other side. You choose, when you draw this, at the beginning of the game, you're either going to take the skill, for instance, quick thinking, gain 1 extra reroll each turn. So instead of rolling a total of 3 times, I get to roll a total of 4. That can be really useful. Or do I want +3 hit points? It's it's a decision you have to make at the beginning of the game, and it's going to kind of affect how you play throughout the game. So the skill cards actually came in one of the expansions, and they're a really nice addition. Then there's the Zombie Horde. Zombie Horde comes from the Zombie Horde expansion. The Zombie Horde expansion added 3 new types of zombies. In the base game, you have just standard zombies. They each take 1 hit point, they each move 1 space, and they can each be killed with bats and guns, as I explained earlier. In the Zombie Horde expansion, you have zombies who take 2 hit points to kill, or you have zombies who advance 2 spaces at a time, or you have crawlers that can't be shot with guns because they're down in the grass, so you have to wait until they get up to zone 1 and hit them with baseball bats. So you've got more of a variety of zombies, and the Zombie Horde cards will tell you how to place those. So if you are placing zombies and it says place 4, you'll have the card and it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and tells you which ones for each of those. So you would just place 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you're placing the 4 zombies appropriately on the board. And it just helps you to incorporate the expansion. The other expansion is just to add 5 to 6 player play because it is originally a 4-player game. I have actually found that I prefer this game with more people. It does make it take a little bit longer. It's a fun game, and it's entertaining to see what happens to people, really, and the interaction, even though you're not supposed to be interacting with each other. And so it tends to be a little bit more fun at about the 4 and 5 player mark. That's kind of the sweet spot for the game. It's a dice chucker. It's a really light game. It's not something that you're going to really be deeply invested in a really difficult strategy on. It's something that you can just sort of play while you're having conversation with your friends. Might be something fun to play on Halloween. It's a real light, fun game, and I've enjoyed it every time I've played it. Actually, everybody that I've played this game with has really enjoyed it. I think, again, like I've said about a number of the games that I love, this is something I think a lot of people should give a shot. I like zombie games, and this one is a little bit different because I'm not working cooperatively with anybody. I am running away, or I'm fighting, or I'm dying, and it's all right there in the title. So I think that's all we're going to have for today. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Duo Bus Design, Sound G Entertainment, and Excelsior Games and Comics. And as always, I'll see you out there in the Nerdverse.